It's interesting. I was thinking about today and last night when I fell asleep, and I had a dream, and I dreamt about a real life thing that happened when we worked for this bank 3 banks ago, right? So whoever's listening could do the math. And we were at an event, and the owner of the bank came up and asked me to dance. And I was there with my husband. Everyone's with their spouses. I thought it was awkward, right? So I was like, no, I'm good. Thanks so much, Miss Savo. And so my husband and I are sitting there, and the president of the bank looks over at me and he says, hey, when the owner asks you to dance, you dance. And sure enough, I got up and I danced with the dude. And this morning I woke up and I was like mad, thinking that about sums up the career of a woman in corporate America. Hey, little lady, like I was running the whole department, right? Hey, little lady, when the owner asks you to dance, you dance. And sure enough, I got up and I danced. Well, shame on me. Those dancing days are over, man. They're over. I don't want mentors anymore. I want fem-tours. Welcome back to the Lords of Lending podcast, where we talk deals, dreams, and the dynamics of entrepreneurs who execute. I'm your host, Lord Stephanie Castanier-Dunn, followed by my fellow Lords, Shane Pearson and Lord Brian Congelari. Now, before I dive in, I want to set the stage because this one's a special one for me. I've spent 25 years in business, and I've seen over and over that women across all industries have had to navigate all sorts of dynamics in the climate. As a female banker lender, I have my own observations and now theories now that I'm in the second half of my life and I'm more free flowing with my opinions. Women have been leading an economic evolution in this country. And the women's economy employs over 12 million Americans, generates over 2.7 trillion in annual revs. And over the past 20 years, women-owned businesses have grown twice as fast as the national average. Women own as an estimated 42% of business in America, and yet, this is the one that really gets me, only 16% of loans made by banks in this country are to women. And my initial reaction is, wait, what? Why? So let's take you all back, and this will fall in the line of what my theories are. And we have a special guest today, our first female owning guest, which I'm very excited about because I've known her for many years and is a close personal friend. And when you look at the dynamics of women in leadership roles or ownership roles, I mean, think about the rapid pace at which women have grown in this country and in the world. Well, okay, we go back to we had the right to vote in 1920. Got it. Women were allowed to borrow money to buy a home in 1970. Okay. But get this, it was only until 1988 that women could actually borrow money for a business without a male signer. 1988, guys. That is in my career lifetime and in Ruth's career lifetime, we were not allowed to borrow money for a business without a male co-signer. And so that is when I started out in my career, I was just getting started. And so you think about what we had to deal with as women in corporate America, and we couldn't even lend money to women for the most part because there was the stigma or there still is the stigma, in my opinion, today on women's ability to operate in just certain industries. I mean, I looked at the construction business. The funeral business is a classic one. That's why I'm excited to interview Ruth Thornquest today. She embodies this message and she embodies all of these questions that I have in my head and probably women in our industry and across all industries have today is how do we access capital? How do we thrive as owners, as leaders? Ruth has been in the funeral industry for over 39 years. And since 2019, she scaled through acquisition. I remember I knew Ruth before she owned a business and she was working in corporate. And so the big question for me, and to talk about Ruth's climb, she now owns over 20 cemeteries, 2 funeral homes, a crematory, has over 100 employees, plus a granite monument company, and soon a vault plant. And this is all since 2019. I mean, we were talking just a few years here. So clearly she's on a mission. She's not stopping. She's built this alongside her son, making this a true family-owned enterprise. Mother-son dynamics in of itself. I know I have a son. It is a whole different animal. So it's beautiful in of itself to see you build this business alongside your son. So welcome, Ruth Thornquest, my longtime personal friend and woman powerhouse, moving and shaking in the funeral industry, which has been a multi-generational male-dominated industry. Welcome, Ruth.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'm excited to be here. And hopefully, we get some other women to the top. And it's, as you say, the dream. You just have to look back and see exactly what you're looking for. Uh, my dream right now is opening up a vault plant. And that is, we're trying to be an all-inclusive company, uh, as everybody else for cost. And we just, we're always looking for more acquisitions, that's for sure. As you know, uh, we put we do go above and beyond to try to make sure we take care of our employees. Uh, we want to be a family owned and run business, and nowadays even that's hard. And you're right, I worked for corporate. I remember one of the comments somebody said to me. That's really, I think, what made me want to go out and uh get my own company, and so I wouldn't do that. And the comment to me was, you know, they're no longer a name or a person. Put a number on them. And I just thought, wow, that's so heartless. I mean, I just couldn't do that, especially, you know, with one company. I was 29 years when I was the regional vice president. And when they told me that, because they had brought a new COO in, and I was like, this just isn't for me anymore. And I will say, a lot of people said, oh, getting an SVA is such a hard uh, loan. And I will say this, and not because she's on her, but she knows I tell everybody, uh, they made it so you guys made it so easy for me. And being a woman, you're correct. Uh, Pretty much you guys, the SBA was who wanted to deal with you. You know, everybody else was like, oh, you just want to co-signers. And even now, you say 1988, we were looking 2019. They still, well, who's going to co-sign with you? What do you mean? I mean, so it was quite interesting, an experience with the banks, and going with the SBA really did make it a lot easier. And again, being a woman, you guys never even questioned any of it. Uh, I started out with the original 8 and still have those. And we were up to over 23, 24 entities right now, and we're going to continue to grow. My goal is actually 50. My goal is 50. Along the way, I've had people want to, uh, come in and actually, oh, well, we'll give you backing and all that. But when I need backing, I come to you, Stephanie.
Yeah.
There it is. You
Yeah.
give me my backing to grow. Uh, and the reason why, and again, because me as a woman, I think my voice would get overpowered running the company once you start getting the board of directors and all that type of stuff. So my goal is actually 50, and to be all inclusive, with our own granite company, our own vault. We produce everything that we sell, I guess, or I love this, and I love this industry. I feel that we help people all the time, make a difference in families' lives on one of the worst days of their lives.
Hmm.
So we
Okay,
just
I'm gonna jump in on the industry. I've seen Ruth in action, and I'll tell you, it's like watching art. It's like watching a symphony, because you look at the industry itself, right? 33% of funeral directors are women in America today. All right, 33%. Yet the interesting thing is, in mortuary school, 70 to 77% of students are female. So they're coming. The girls are coming. All right. The girls are coming. And that's a huge pipeline. It has not yet translated to leadership, but it will, because we have industry trailblazers like Ruth paving the way for these women that are graduating from mortuary science. And the interesting difficulty in buying a legacy funeral home is you're usually dealing with a multi-generational owner, usually an older gentleman who has been in the business for multi generations now. And women are raised from since the beginning of time to be agreeable, nice, and sweet, and understanding, and gentle, and kind, right? Well,
No
when
one's saying that about me.
yeah, I know. Well,
Sorry.
you've adapted. I'll tell you what, when you're negotiating with an older male, multi-generational, male-dominated industry, how do you negotiate? That's my number one question. And I think this could be the biggest takeaway. How do you, Ruth, what would you say is your style? And I've seen you in action. It's beautiful. I just sit there and I just watch because I want to learn. But how do you negotiate with these men? Because I come in guns blazing and that doesn't always work. You have to have finesse, but you also have to hold your own. So, what's your strategy in negotiating with an older male seller?
What I do is actually, and I like to read people, and I guess that comes from the sales side of me. But I go in, and you know what? The way we got a couple actually of our places where people were very shocked, the mother son team, and family owned. A lot of people don't want to deal with corporate anymore. And we do want to make sure that we continue on people's legacies and the way they would want, uh, the way they ran it, and and continue to take their dreams forward. And that's actually, and we do sit down a lot of times and talk, well, what is your dream for this business? What was your dream? And if, to try to align with it. These guys, you are correct. But it's like giving up your kid. I mean, they work these their whole life. It's like giving up a kid. So you want to really try and, I have compassion for them. Uh, and a lot of times, if you don't have a plan on how you're going, a lot of times the kids don't want it. A lot of times they don't even have a kid. Uh, so they want somebody to continue on what their dream was. We try to, if it's a family owned, we absolutely try to. I don't come in, a lot of times they have people who have worked with them probably 20, 30, 40 years, and that's a lot of times their biggest concern. How about this person? They took care of me, they helped me. How do I don't want them to be fired. And when we go into any facility, we don't look to fire anybody. We want everybody to come on, be part of our team, and some is an adjustment for them, but we do still try to, I guess, let them have their, say also in the business. I'm a firm believer in there's a lot of people that have a lot better ideas than me, and it's no harm in listening to other people. And but when you're dealing with these guys, I do go in with compassion because I know if I when I have to retire, this is my baby, you know? I mean, when you build something from scratch, you don't want it to go by the wayside. You want it to be there in 40 years. Uh, in the last deal that we just did, uh, the guy ended up dying, if you remember correctly, which was
Yeah.
heartbreaking to me that it took them so long. He ended up passing away, and his son and wife, uh, still sold to us, and, that was his big thing, don't get rid of his employees, and we didn't. One was literally retiring the day they sold, so we knew that, but other than that, everybody who was there still was there, and, they a lot of times they'll find out that the new company isn't as bad as everybody thinks it's going to be. But we try to continue on with their with their thoughts, their dreams, and just incorporate it with ours. Because each individual entity is run as a separate entity.
Interest.
So
That's
yeah, I mean, they have some of them have a hard time adjusting that all the bills go to one office, but it's like we just made your job easier. Don't worry about it. You ain't got to worry about paying bills now. Just send them all here. It's
yeah.
good, you know. But
So
that's that we normally go in and that's normally what uh, helps the situation. And a lot of people don't like the corporate structures that that come in and were buying everything up in the 80s and 90s, if you remember that.
yeah. Yeah,
So
completely. Yeah, so there's been a shift in dynamics and ownership in the funeral industry, which has been really exciting. And I love to lead the charge and making sure that I can provide access to capital to everyone wanting to buy and continue these legacies. And I'm going to quote you on this, Ruth. So your leadership style is through compassion. I love it.
that
That's
neat.
fantastic. That's going to be my quote for you. Um, Shane, you want to jump in? I know that you had some questions on because we've had previous guests on that we feature growth through or scaling through acquisition. And the interesting thing about what you've done is, I mean, look, when you say you own 20 cemeteries, and you bought these in the last 5 years, it's pretty phenomenal. I mean, I don't know anyone else right now that I'm doing business with that has acquired that many so fast. And these are all individual sellers, guys. So, I mean, think about the time it takes to negotiate the deal, and being able to do all that. And a monument company and a vault plant. So, Shane, you want to jump in?
Yeah, Ruth, I don't know who the hell you are.
You don't know who I
Let's
am.
let's dial it back for a second. Honestly, I want whoever's listening to this to understand where you came from a little bit more. And the reason why is because there became a point, from what I've heard and just picking up in your storyline, that it's not just about the idea of being a man or a woman. There's this idea that entrepreneurs, they don't wait for permission when all is said and done. So you're the one who defines your own industry, and so there's a moment, there's some paradigm shift in your life that got you to the point where you said, you know what, I want to take over the damn world in this funeral industry. Like, just a goal of owning 50 entities, that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not normal thinking, regardless of where you're
I took
from,
out
where
this
your background. Like, just getting one is a
Yeah,
big step, but
that's
saying, "Oh, I want
fair
50."
one. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something going on there. So, like, that's where I say is, like, I don't know who the hell you are. I'm like, where did you come from that would create the person that would have that determination? And because I think that's probably a beautiful story that we just don't have quite yet. So if you can back me up a little bit, yes, we had corporate America and all the chauvinistic pricks that lived in that world, but let's talk about, like, you got this sea of children, in behind you, right? Like the grandchildren that you said that's on your
I well,
wall.
I do have my sea of grandchildren
Let
behind me. Yes,
I love it.
I actually have 3. I have
Okay.
3 boys, and that's who I was with all weekend. So I had them all weekend. So uh, it's funny. Everybody always asks me, "How did you get into this business?" I answered an ad, making $3.35 an hour, making phone calls, telemarketer. That's how I got into this business.
Interesting.
And,
And so that was a
and
sales background? Like, so was it specifically in the
that was
funeral industry?
telemarketing. That was telemarketing.
Just straight telemarketing?
and
Straight
this
telemarketing.
right.
No, that was it was a company in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where I am originally from. So when I use the word yins, you'll know that means you all. But I started out there as a telemarketer for $3.35 an hour, and for every sale you got off of the cemetery, you got a whole $5. So, moved from there up to the telemarketing manager, then sales manager. It just grew from there. And I again, it's an industry I love. I pride myself on that. I don't ask somebody else to do something I won't do myself. That old adage. And so what I know how to dig a grave, I know how to lay markers, I know how to set a vault. You name it, I can do it. I'm currently learning. I think I'm on like lesson 4 on how to actually etch a marker. So, just I like to know everything that we're selling, doing, whatever has to pertain to the business. I personally do or try to do. Uh, I just think, how can I tell you to do something and I can't, I don't know how to do it, you know? So I do try to do everything. I'll get out there if we're behind on mowing and I get on a zero turn and go. I mean,
Still,
so
she's still
still,
got I
Still out
called
there
her,
still.
mowing.
y'all, "Ruth, what are you doing?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm on the lawnmower, cemetery." What? People? You have like 100 people to do this for you. She's
Well,
like, "No, they did it wrong, and I need to go back there, and now I have to do it myself." So she
yeah. When you're training somebody, or I think that time, I think the gentleman's father had passed away, so I didn't wanna get behind in the summertime and pull somebody, so I went over and I helped the other maintenance man to so he wouldn't get behind. Uh,
said, "Right?"
I find it, and I do, and people will even make comments to me, "Why do you do that? You own 20 cemeteries." And it's like, you know, my crew, my staff, when I come out and I do the exact same thing they're doing, they're just like, but they're all, it's you lead by example, I guess.
No,
And so
that's
we're going over
doctrine.
all these old adages. I guess that's what I'm going to say to you. You asked, what makes me do this? I guess let's go back to the old adages. My father owned a company, and I was 13 and had to work for him from 13 to 18. Uh, Doing concrete. I know how to lay concrete too. So, it's just, I got a work ethic. I guess that's what it comes down to. I mean, I'm on the road a lot. Uh, trying to do deals. I mean, I'm always looking for deals, always. You
Mhm.
never know what's gonna come along, and, but you I guess you just get to, as you said, it's the dream. It's the dream. I have the dream. I
Well, and
think
that
at
gets fueled.
50.
I think you can't you so I'm puzzling together the storyline as we're talking about it here. And you started out in life learning how to do hard work. Correct me if I'm
Yes.
wrong, right? So you learned how to do hard work and
Yeah.
you learned how to sell. You learn how to get denied, how to get declined, how to get told no. You got rejected. Rejection does a lot for a person in shaping who they are, right? So I think that
Yes.
you followed this path, and also from that rejection, you build some fortitude around the direction of really where you want to steer your own ship, let alone steer someone else's ship, somebody else's equity. So the idea that Steph is bringing in here, this idea of owning your ownership, is this really taking control of the barge that is your experience in life and pointing it in the direction of success. And you had this one. I enjoy the destination that you've created for yourself, right? Because that's another part of this. Doesn't matter how great your ship looks if you don't have that destination at the forefront, you're never going to get there. And the more
Right.
ambitious that destination, the farther the progress, right, of what you could achieve. If you started and said, I only wanted to do 3 in the next 5 years, which I still think is a hell of a thing to overcome and actually make happen. But I only wanted to do 3, like even that would be a huge success. But you shot really far beyond that. And I think that tells a lot about the character of person that you built into, and the way that you treat and discuss coming in and actually serving people. That's the number one best trait of a leader, is one who serves. I mean, we learned that from Christ, if you're Christian, or it just
It's
you
very
see
true.
it in your own world, right? Like that idea of the best leader is one who serves. And honestly, that's part of the reason I follow Stephanie, is that she has been my leader, and we call partnership, but really that's the way that she has treated us, is she gets in and she serves. She's in the trenches, she understands the roles, she's done it all. And that creates this idea of what I call moral authority. And I don't, that's the you have the moral authority to be able to tell somebody that this is how it's done. And I understand the pain that goes along with doing it, but we still have to do it, right? So I think that execution is critical and kind of boiling that together. So did I analyze you in a way that you think actually fits your personnel and where you come from?
Yes, yes, I do, and it's funny because the way you were putting it, the first thing that you know came to my mind was, and it's very evident with Stephanie. I think, you know, when she walks into the room, she's a leader. when she walks into the room, she's a leader, you know, and she don't have to come in and go, I'm the boss, I'm the boss.
You just
You
know
know,
she's running the show. Yep.
it's just though she's running the show.
Yep.
And look, see, it's just so turned around onto you because that is something that I think that when you walk into a room and somebody goes, she's running the show, she's the boss, you know who she is, and you're not out there going, I'm the boss, I'm the boss. I don't have to do that. I just, and you have a lot of people who do that. I always chuckle because I think when I take people and make them a first time manager and everybody will say something, I'm like, oh, they're going to get manageritis. And they're like, well, what's that? I says, "That's when they finally got some power, and now they gotta tell everybody they got the power, show them." So I said, "Just, as soon as it starts happening, just quash it down and they'll be fine." And, it's actually a common trait for a lot of people. And to me, I can meld into the background, I'm okay. I don't need to show my face, I don't need to show, what we do. Uh and it's quite funny, even with my son, a lot of people, uh, I guess how you would call me the front person for the company. And right or wrong, Stephanie, a lot of people don't even know I have a partner back there, but he's doing everything at the office and he takes care of the home office and, makes sure everything runs smooth and does whatever needs to be done out here. Uh, I, you know, I did learn something from a great leader. Am I allowed to say somebody's name?
Sure.
Okay, Mel Payne of
Oh,
Carriage.
yeah,
I
yeah.
will tell you, I think he is the one who truly. I think he's a very, very, very intelligent guy. Have tons and tons of respect for the man. And I took a lot of stuff from him to believe it and brought it forward. Um, you know, being an owner, you're just support. That's really what I feel my job is. My job is to support everybody in the company. Uh, Support and acquisitions. I love acquisitions. That's my favorite thing to do now. It truly is. It truly is. But support. That's your job. Your support because you got to support your people.
Mhm.
I
You
think
know,
So go ahead, Brian.
let me cut in. Sure. I think part of what's great about this conversation is you're bringing up some really awesome principles of leadership, right? You're talking about the person who's in charge being a support for those around them, being serving everyone. And another thing that I love is that I don't know that we touched on. What I was hearing a lot of when you were describing your background was accountability, being accountable and being the one that's like Steph is saying with owning your ownership. You're owning your decisions. You're owning everything that the company does and that you want to put forward. You own that and that's yours. And that's, I mean, you've had some amazing success, which tells all of us a lot about your outlook and how you own things and really focus on your employees, focus on the right things to be a good leader. That kind of brings me to my point that I wanted to ask about, which was there's a lot of folks who, hopefully, a lot of folks who will listen to this, but a lot of folks that may be in the funeral industry who are coming up, like Steph said, 70 to 70% of students right now in this industry are women. Um, which means that in the future there will be a lot of potential acquisitions. I was reading something that Steph sent over that said in the next 5 years, uh, nearly half of funeral directors are planning to retire, which is opening up a huge opportunity for acquisition. From your perspective, Ruth, what advice would you give a young entrepreneur um, or someone who's experienced and looking to make the jump into entrepreneurship who's thinking, "Hey, I could probably own one of these. I could do this." What advice would you give that person to kind of make that jump and make the transition to ownership?
I have to tell you, I agree with you. I mean, even the movies. Stop a second and look. Every movie you see is a guy who is the funeral director, right? It's the
Mhm.
truth. And 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 what I would tell the women, don't be afraid, because I feel I could have probably done this 10, 12, 15 years prior. Instead, I held on to my job because I'm making a few 100,000 a year. But what you give up in your freedom and be having your own dreams, goals, and how you want to run something, really don't wait. Just don't wait. People, that's what I think people do. They wait, they get so comfortable in your life and what's going in the status quo. Okay, I got a nice place, I got money coming in, I got a job. I don't want to upheave it, you
Mhm.
know? And when I worked for Carriage, when I left them is when I went into my own. Carriage paid me very well and was a great company. And I'll say that again on here because Carriage was a great company. Mel Payne, again, great man. The people he has behind him, great people. But don't wait. Don't wait. Because once you get into that comfortability, then you don't want to do anything and you don't want to move.
Mhm.
And I was even unsure when I was getting this. And it was Stephanie who was like, "Look, girl, go for your dreams, try it." And that's where it all ended up leading to. And I was moving down to Greenville, South Carolina, and my son had one baby, and then I was leaving in like 3 weeks, and he goes, "You got a spot for me?" And I said, "Why?" And he showed me he was having identical twins. He g-
Hmm.
so he ended up coming with me, and it's been great. It's been great. I get to spend time with my grandkids when I want. Okay, and you're right. I make the decisions, and I own it. I own it. Good, bad, or indifferent. People say, well, just spend this, just spend that, and it's like, yeah, times 20. Now you're looking at 4,000 a month. That's an extra, 50,000. And, we have 100. Here's what I always tell everybody. Is it scary? It is. It is. But it's so rewarding in so many ways. Go for it right off the bat. You know,
Mm.
and these women, they can come out because there are people like Stephanie who will lend to women and not make you have to feel like you are less than something. Uh, and that's exactly what 2 banks did to me. That's what 2 banks did to me before Stephanie, came in and helped. And she's the one who said, "Just go for it. Try it. What do you got to lose?" And at that point, what do you got to lose?
Mhm.
You know? And, uh, somebody said, they said, "Oh, they lent you 1,000,000." I'm like, "Yeah, do you believe that?" And then with the second one, I said, they says, "Well, you getting nervous now that you got this many millions?" Well, I says, "Well, after the first million, what did it matter, right?" So we're just going to keep growing, and we are going to keep growing. But in the meantime, we did an amazing thing. We had purchased something. We moved on to Gainesville. I think we bought that one almost back to back, didn't we? From Gainesville
Yeah.
and like months apart. And we moved on to Gainesville, and somebody purchased my Gainesville properties off me at double what I paid. What
Nice.
was it, 4 late years later? So we took that, paid that loan off, paid another loan off down in the St. Petersburg that we purchased, and for those five, paid all that off. So uh, yeah, and then go back at it again, and and grow, grow, and grow, and that is our goal. Uh, it slowed me down getting to my 50, but the turnaround money was absolutely amazing, and it's hard to pass that up. It's hard to
Amazing.
pass that up.
I
Yeah.
totally remember it like it was yesterday. So the three of us were together at the bank when Ruth called with that. I knew Ruth in the industry. She had this big corporate job. She had the entire country. So, and she managed hundreds of cemeteries at the time, and I'd see her all the time at the conventions, and I knew who she was and the big role that she had at this big corporate company because Mel talked about her all the time, and I knew Mel very well too. And he had other leaders that were great, and I've all gone on to do exactly what Ruth has done, which is interesting, right? Talk about interesting leadership. A lot
Yes.
of people who've worked for Mel have gone on to buy their own and own their own and have become big consolidators.
Big.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when Ruth called with the first one, she's like, I don't know, these two banks didn't want to do it. Maybe I shouldn't do it, but I know I'm going to make money. I know I could do 1,000 times better than the way they're operating it. I'm going to double the profit in a year. I'm telling you. And so she sent out the projections, and the projections were that the doubling the revenue a year. And I think the other guys, the other bankers she was talking to, because we've all worked with these credit officers, we're all like, oh, this little lady's a dreamer. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She can't double revenues in a year. This is unrealistic. And I remember having to walk into the credit officer's office and say, all right, we have to do this. There is no way she's not going to succeed. Maybe she won't double it, but she's going to kill it. She's running hundreds of these things. She certainly can run a couple in Greenville. And so I remember him saying, well, if she ends up flaking, you're going to be down there running the cemetery. I'm like, fine. I'll go down there and I'll move to Greenville and I'll take over the cemetery. And sure enough, Ruth came in and more than, I think, doubled in the first year. Second year, I mean, astronomical multiples. The minute she took over, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what are you doing that's so different? I mean, it's a cemetery, It's not like you can do a whole different model. It's plots. Like you don't choose your product, but she has the secret touch. It's amazing. And sure enough, she paid that loan off early.
It's,
She
we
texted me,
just
paid it off. I'm like, yes.
just she I don't know. She don't want to move to Greenville. It's a fast upcoming area in the
Oh,
country. I
really?
mean,
I was in. I told Ruth, I'm like, Ruth, I'll quit my job and I'll come work for you. And she's like, no. You have to stay there because I need more money.
because I need more money. Yes.
Oh, yeah. And here we
And
are.
we've used her numerous times, and trust me, there's more coming. Uh, again, we're always looking for. So if you guys know anywhere, and I tell everybody, and this is what I do. This is how I get these. If you know anybody, let me know.
Right. Right. I'm not going to lie, though. I do get irritated when I get those same questions from the credit team. Well, how is she able to juggle her life and be an owner of all these locations? What are you talking about? It's very condescending. It's very condescending because I don't know if those same questions would come up if it was a man who had 20 locations. Honestly, I've never had to answer that question,
Well, let
So
me jump in on this too. I want to, and my thoughts this. This exists across banking. You have people that have never run a business themselves that are deciding on something,
Sure.
and a lot of the times it's entirely subjective. It's something we gripe about all the time when it doesn't matter where you're at, what bank you're at. This is always the conversation. Even us, right? Stephanie, out of all of us, has the one is the one that has ownership experience. Brian, and myself have done other little knick-knacky things, but we're not, right? So we've learned by watching other people succeed or fail, and have learned how to analyze. And a lot of the credit guys in the banking industry kind of live in that same space. But there's something that goes along with experience. But I think with the growth of the acquisitional market right now, it becoming the silver tsunami that everyone's talking about, and you're on that wave riding it hard, Ruth, right? Okay. Like the acquisition growth, like you're hungry, you're loving it, it's delicious to you, right? The idea that comes out of all of this is experience is your kind of momentum, right? So the moment you
Yes.
have that experience, once you've gotten the first one done, you're just like, damn it, I could do this 100 times. Like it's we figure it out. It's just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat,
hey,
rinse and
it's like
repeat.
having kids.
It's,
Like
it's,
having
it's well,
kids.
no.
What's one more kid?
Brian's got 4 kids, and I think
Yeah.
he's not as glorious. But
Doesn't
I
quite
think
scale like that.
well, granted, Brian's not pushing him out, so I think that has part of the problem, as far as
This is
the
true.
actual physical aspect of it. He's not participating in that element. But nevertheless, I think the idea is that you pick up on, and that even that bankers roll back to, is that we actually are that conversation is the first thing that comes out of my mouth when I talk to anybody buying a business now. Why do you think you can actually run this? And it's interesting. Some of it's like, oh, it's a cool idea. Like, it's amazing how unprepared mentally people are for that question. Like, how have you not had this dialogue? And at the same time, though, I've had to even get them to say, okay, now imagine I'm some grumpy old dude that's sitting in at a table that doesn't believe anything you're about to tell me. Convince me otherwise, right? It sounds like one of those sales classes you probably had back in telemarketing, right, Ruth?
Correct.
Same
That's what they
exact
used to
thing.
teach you.
You're selling to somebody that doesn't believe you. You gotta give me something. You gotta think through that logic of what's going on. And that if you've got that story straight, you've got that elevator pitch, it works. And I think and then somebody that backs you up, right? Steph backed you up, Ruth, and
Correct.
right? Like she energized your momentum. She kinda kicked it in the pants a little and said, like, "Go for it, sister." And that's what pulled together to really pick it up. You didn't feel alone in it.
That's exactly it, and, and I gotta tell you, it's her and it was her staff at the time. You called them, they were there. They were there to help all the time. That is true. This last one that we just did, that was one of the biggest, questions that they have. "Well, how are you gonna run this?" "Well, I'm gonna add it on to the other 21 that I do." You know, my car's 2 right. My car's 2.5 years old. I got 130,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
I
What else
I
you
got
want?
it at 1 mile. Well, yeah, I got it at 1 mile. I mean, I'm still a road dog, and I guess I always have been when I was running hundreds, and, 60 for Stoneware and 100 and, for well, I think Carriage was 50 some too, I don't know, but whatever it was, I gotta tell you, I was a road dog then, now just I'm for myself, and I get to make the decisions. I think that, uh I think that you do need somebody behind you like Stephanie, who is a banker who is pushing for you. And I think that's what people don't realize. You don't have a lot of women sitting in her seat. And again, it comes back to you don't have a lot of women sitting in my seat. When you're breaking glass ceilings, and that's all we're doing is breaking glass ceilings for the next generation coming up. That's why I say that to you. What's my best thing that I can tell these women who are coming out to do? Buy, buy, purchase, do your dream. Whatever your dream is, start it now. Don't wait. Don't get comfortable in your life, and then 30 years, 40 years passes you by. Don't do it. Uh, you know, I could have actually bought a cemetery probably within the first 10 years that I was in this industry. Instead, I waited, for 30 more years. Uh, don't do it. Don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable. But you look around, well, I got a kid I gotta feed. I gotta keep a house. And there's all you can give yourself the thousand reasons, right? You can give yourself 1,000 reasons. Uh, But if you start thinking on the other side, you can give yourself 1,000 reasons to do it too. Do the old Ben Franklin. Do the old Ben Franklin. And I know a lot of people don't even know what that is. And you guys are looking at me like, what the heck? Ben Franklin is take a piece of paper, put a line down the middle, pros on one side, cons on the other side. See what outweighs it. And if you do that for yourself, you'd be surprised. Normally the pros outweigh the cons. And it's why when we talk about these younger people moving up, absolutely. You need help, call me. I'll help you. I'll point you in the right direction. I'll help you. I'll support you as I got supported. I mean, that's what I hate to say, guys. That's what us women need to do is
Yep.
support one another.
And that's what we do. We talk about mentors all the time. And 10 years ago, I started to resent that word because I'm like, mentors, great. More men telling you what to do with my life. They're already telling me what to do. It's interesting. I was thinking about today and last night when I fell asleep and I had a dream and I dreamt about a real life thing that happened when we worked for this bank 3 banks ago, right? So whoever's listening could do the math. And we were at an event, and the owner of the bank came up and asked me to dance. And I was there with my husband. Everyone's with their spouse. I thought it was awkward, right? So I was like, no, I'm good. Thanks so much. And they sit this out. And so my husband and I are sitting there, and the president of the bank looks over at me and he says, "Hey, when the owner asks you to dance, you dance." And sure enough, I got up and I danced with the dude. And this morning I woke up and I was like mad, thinking that about sums up the career of a woman in corporate America. Hey, little lady, like I was running the whole department, right? Hey, little lady, when the owner asks you to dance, you dance. And sure enough, I got up and I danced. Well, shame on me. Those dancing days are over, man. They're over. I don't want mentors anymore. I want fem-tours.
I like it.
And that's it. I want fem-tours in my life like you, Ruth, and I want fem-tours in that I can be fem-tour to other young girls coming up the ranks and even myself. I mean, look, we talk about this all the time. I'm you, Ruth. I've been in corporate America for 25 years now, comfortable, you know, dancing with the owner when he asks me to dance because that's what I have to do.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think that this is an invaluable lesson. I have one question on culture. And it's interesting because I've met a lot of Roots employees. And so they come from all these different companies, legacy businesses. So they have that legacy attachment. But then once Ruth becomes the owner, it's interesting because you said that you've kept all of those businesses the way they were, but they've kind of morphed now under your culture.
Yes.
You didn't have to top down it. It just happened.
You know, the worst thing is when somebody's purchasing a business, all those employees, the first thing they think is, oh my God, I'm not going to have a job. And who wants to live like that? Okay. I don't. So why would I want somebody else to? Oh my God, I don't have a job, you know? Uh, we again, when we first come in, we let them run until we see the way they're running. The last business we bought, such a nice family, just a nice, I mean, just a great family. Unfortunately, with that, they'd have a scrap of paper, and that's, and I'm like, what is this? And it'd be in their file. And that was what they owned. It's like, it was nuts. It's still nuts. We're still trying to. So, uh, so they were very still back in the 50s and 60s, which is fine. Now, we have hired a few new people along with the people who work there. So they sort of start adjusting to us that, we put everything on computers. Everything's nowadays at a touch of a button, you can see what the file is and that type of stuff. Uh, so we try to bring them along a little bit at a time. Uh, I mean, sometimes we get into the last place we got into, the person didn't even know how to use email, and everybody in the company gets a company corporate email. So, we have people set it up and show them and put it on their computer in front of them. And, it's a touch of a button. So it's just, it was, and you don't even realize that 2025, but there are still people who don't see the need for it. And these people didn't see the need for, you know, uh, bringing anything into the future. I mean, and that's okay because that's the way they did it for 60, 70 years.
Mhm.
That's the way they did it. So, just trying to get people and keep people. We don't want to upset the apple cart too much. When we go into these places, we go in, you evaluate them, of course, before you buy them, and then you go in after you buy them because I understand as the bankers just don't want to hear this. There's only so much evaluation you can do
Yeah.
until you actually sitting in the seat watching a day-to-day operation for a month, 2 months to see actually what's happening. And once you do that, then you can start making your changes in, what's going to be best for that particular location.
Yeah, it's very true. Actually, that's true. Well, you guys have anything else?
Yeah,
I just want
I'll do a quick one.
okay.
Just real fast because Ruth, I am an attorney, and so my background is legal, and so I'm curious, as I'm sure maybe some folks, at least one human being out there, might be curious about this too. Is Do you structure, what is the legal structure for all of your businesses? You've got 20 different businesses. Are they all in separate LLCs owned by a parent company? How do you separate that out, and why?
What we do is, yes, the parent company is Faithful Heritage Holdings. Uh, and the parent company in California is Faithful Heritage Holdings West. I got very creative. But yes, everyone does right. Everybody does have their own LLC. Each of the acquisitions have their own LLC, and then it comes underneath the parent company. And the reason is couple fold. One is for accounting purposes. When you're filing taxes and accounting purposes. The other one is, you know, yes, do somebody falls, and they want to sue, or, it just makes it a lot easier to have it all separated out. But mainly, if you ask my CFO, it is for tax purposes because it makes it easier. And same thing when we went to sell those ones up in Gainesville, the truth was it was all separated out. It had its own LLC and its own number, and we just, pushed it right out. It was no loss to everything else in the company. It
Yeah.
didn't take for, to try to untangle and unwind it, I guess, and that's just it. I mean, so if you're owning one place, but if you're going to do multiples, I would suggest that you would do each one as a individual entity. I am sure the bigger companies, actually, that's not true. I think they also do. I mean, uh, when I worked for Carriage, each one of them had their own. They were all their own company also, and it all fell under one. It all comes under one umbrella. So it just makes it easier for accounting purposes, as well as if you decide you're going to get rid of something or disperse it.
Gotcha. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun on the underwrite side. But again, now that I've been here since the beginning, I mean, I have everything Ruth has ever done since 2019. So it's fun because she doesn't have to resend everything because I have everything. So that makes it easier. Well, Ruth, I can't tell you. I think about you all the time. I know we're in touch all the time. Your story is so inspiring, but it's more than that. It's historic. I mean, you think about you should have done it sooner. When you think about what lesson you learned, I would wish I would have done it earlier. We weren't allowed earlier. It was only until 1988 that you were allowed to do this. So think about that. Crazy, right?
I still think that's nuts. I think that's nuts, and people don't even realize it. What, in the 1970s, a woman could finally get a credit card on her own. I mean,
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Paving the way, that is our responsibility in our lifetimes, all of ours, is to pave the way for the next generation. That's all our job is to leave the world a little better than it was when we got here, and to raise good children, have good friends and families, and take care of our people. Taking care of our people. And everything you do, Ruth, is that um, you're paving the way for female entrepreneurs, but paving the way for family legacies. And that to me is my motto. My motto is never, I just want to get ahead and I want to climb the ladder. I want to make lots of money. Look, you and I are the same, Ruth. We don't need more stuff. We don't need bigger cars and bigger purses and all this other stuff. Everything we do is to enjoy our time with our people.
That's it. That's exactly what it is right now. If I'm not working or on the road at that time, that's exactly what I do. I go spend time with my grandkids. It's what makes me happy.
Yep.
That's all. It's what makes me happy. So
100%.
that's yeah, and I know uh you all are too young. You all don't got grandkids yet, but wait,
Yeah. Well,
wait.
this has filled my heart and my tank, and I want all our listeners to join in this movement and be inspired by your story and be inspired by our friendship, and that means the world to me. How I truly believe in what I do because I want to be there and I want to be a resource, and I know you do too. And so I would tell our listeners to like and subscribe to our Lords of Lending, join in our movement, because what we're doing is we're helping those who chase the American dream by funding them. That is my part in this whole process. Is you have the dream, I'm going to find a way to help you as much as I possibly can and fund it. And so access is everything and education is power, right? So we need to continue to push all this information out so people know what's available and can chase their dreams too.
I tell you what, again, I say this in all honesty. They're welcome to look me up on LinkedIn. They can, Facebook. I don't care how you get in touch with me. You're welcome. Anybody's willing to, if they're willing to put the time in and get in touch with me, I will help them and I will point them in the right direction. And the truth is, uh, I think over the last month, I pointed 2 people in your direction,
Yes.
and, because they need help. And that's what it's all about is a network. It's a network. And we just, these guys don't want to hear it, but it's women helping women. And that's who I sent there was 2 more women to try to help. And we'll just keep moving along and until women rule the world.
We just hopefully in our lifetime, we'll see. It'll be a lot more.
Hopefully.
I mean, it'll be a lot more. We're running the show.
But
Oh,
thank you guys very much for having me on. I truly appreciate it and enjoy
thank
the
you,
talk.
appreciate you. And you're our first woman owning ownership guest. Hating the way.
Yay!
Thank you so much for
Perfect.
being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie, and I'll be seeing you anyway.
Yes, I will. I'll see you.
Nice meeting you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth. All right. Well, thank you for joining. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and share this amazing podcast with our Lords of Lending, where we talk about how deals get done, legacies get built, and entrepreneurs own ownership.